Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I hope you are having a great day. Am I the idiot for slapping my mother-in-law because she thinks I cheated? I made this throwaway because I need some help knowing if I should apologize to my husband, because yesterday I slapped my mother-in-law in front of him. Wow. For context, my husband is white and I am mixed. My mom is Puerto Rican and my dad is white. My mom has very dark skin and my dad is pretty fair. I'm pretty white passing, which for those who don't know, means you can't really tell that I am Latina unless I tell you. A running family joke is that melanin skips a generation because my maternal grandpa is also very fair, but my maternal great-grandma is very brown. With that out of the way, I'll get into my situation. I have been with my husband for 7 years, married for 5, and we have a 3-year-old little girl who is the light of my life. When she was born, she had a head full of dark brown curls, dark brown eyes and a fairly olive complexion. She looks like me when I get tan. You can definitely tell she's part Latino. Despite knowing all this, my mother-in-law has gotten it into her head that my daughter isn't my husband's. She's been telling anyone who will listen that I must have had an affair, because there's no way her son's child could be that color. Yeah, how nice. Oh boy. My mother-in-law has always been standoffish with me. She never made a big effort to get to know me and was always more polite than anything else. Mother-in-law has made some offhanded comments before about Latinos, but husband would brush them off, because she's from another time. Yeah, I've heard this excuse so many times before. I wanted to write off her behavior as just her not being educated enough. I realize now that was my mistake, because it gave her the okay to keep going. When husband and I heard from sister-in-law that mother-in-law was saying this, we invited her over to talk about this. I was really hoping we'd be able to fix this. However, what happened was my mother-in-law going on a rant for like 15 minutes. It consisted of her outing herself as a racist. Saying she knew girls like me couldn't control themselves, that she knew from the start what would happen, the nerve I had to pass my daughter off as hers, also some very colorful slurs. Husband and I were frozen in shock, because she hadn't even stepped into the house and was just screeching on our doorstep. What snapped me out of it was when she started to insult my mom, saying she probably did the same to my dad. I don't know what came over me next. I've never hit someone before. But I ended up smacking her so hard her glasses fell off. That's what got my husband to start talking, or rather, yelling at his mother and me for acting this way, while mother-in-law started to wail. Yes, I shouldn't have hit her, I know, that's wrong. Well, I mean. But hearing him imply I was in the wrong the same way mother-in-law was, made me more angry. I told him he's just as much a racist as his mom, if he was trying to make me out to be as bad as her. I got my keys from inside the house while he was trying to calm his mom down and left. I drove to a hotel and spent the night there. Now it's the afternoon and I haven't left the hotel room since checking in. Husband and several other friends and family have been trying to reach me. I only replied to my sister-in-law, to tell her I'm safe at a hotel and asked her to not tell my husband what hotel I'm at. Guilt is starting to sink in and I'm questioning everything. Like, did I allow my mother-in-law to do this? Did I showcase behavior that made her think I was cheating? Does husband think I cheated and that's why mother-in-law has this in her head? And of course, should I be apologizing to my husband for hitting mother-in-law? I know violence is wrong and I hate making excuses, but I just couldn't handle someone talking about my family that way. So, should I be apologizing to my husband? How do we get through this? Any and all advice is appreciated. Edit, no, my daughter was not at the house. We sent her to have a weekend sleepover with my sister's family. I'll be picking her up tomorrow afternoon. Good God, there are so many layers here. To begin with, stop blaming yourself or thinking that something you did or didn't do was the reason your mother-in-law acted this way towards you. Unfortunately, the answer is much simpler and worse. She's a racist, and she already was before you came into their lives, and probably nothing you did to please her would change that. All your kids could be copies of your husband, and she would still think less of you, and worse, she would teach them the same. I also understand your husband is being protective of mother-in-law, After all, she is his mother, but your reaction was to defend your mother as well. Sure, maybe the slap was too much, but after hearing so many insults from her, and even more so, having your husband silently right beside you, listening to everything and doing nothing to defend you. I'm not saying it was right, but your reaction was understandable, OP. And please stop finding excuses for your husband. Surely your mother-in-law must have said racist terms to him about you several times, in addition to those lies about your daughter's paternity, and he lied to you that he didn't know the truth about her. Honestly, someone needed to give that woman a wake-up call, and unfortunately, it ended up being you, OP. I just don't know if she'll stay awake. And yes, OP should apologize for the slap, but she is definitely not the idiot here. And this whole family owes her so many apologies. Now let's read some relevant comments. I would be scared to raise my daughter with that family. I would do a paternity just to shut down any ideas with the husband, but your marriage just took a hit, and if he doesn't step up, it would be difficult to move on. This is what I'm most afraid of. She's kind of the matriarch, so if we were to go no contact, it would be with the rest of the family too, likely. However, I don't want my daughter in the range of an environment where she can be subjected to passing and direct comments. I don't want her to grow up thinking she's less because of her heritage. OP also share. The last thing I want is to get divorced. However, reading these comments makes me think that if he is not able to accept his mother's racist behavior, we cannot survive. Well, I completely understand OP. Divorce is a serious matter, and I understand that she doesn't want to separate from her husband, but if he continues to do nothing about mother-in-law, maybe OP needs to. Especially when you think about how much all this can affect the upbringing of their daughter. And what do you think about this situation? What would you do if you were OP? Or what advice would you give her? Now let's go to the first update. Update 1. Thank you to everyone who gave very insightful advice. I spent quite a bit reflecting and was able to get an emergency meeting with my therapist this morning. I only have my sister here, as my parents moved back to Puerto Rico to be with my grandparents 5 years ago. Some questions I want to answer real quick. How old are we? My husband is 28 and I just celebrated my 30th birthday. We met when he was 21 and I was 23. Where was my daughter? I sent her to my sister's on Friday for a weekend sleepover with my sister's family. I picked her up Monday afternoon and we had a little mommy-daughter time going to her favorite place, Costco. Yes, my 3-year-old loves Costco. We got home around 7, after we had dinner. My husband was waiting and I told him we'd talk after kiddo went to bed. When she was definitely asleep, we sat and had a long conversation, not just about the fight and his mother, but also race and culture. I saw how my family was treated based on skin color, and while my husband understands racism, he admitted to never really grasping the complexities, especially colorism. A lot of you jumped to me taking my daughter and leaving, or telling me he'd leave me. Sorry to disappoint, but no, we're not getting a divorce or anything of the sort. He apologized to me for not standing up for me before and then, acknowledging he didn't want to think of his mother in a racist light. I also apologized for hitting her, because in the end, no, it doesn't help us. He did forgive me and said if it wasn't his mom saying it, he'd probably slap them too. We will be going to a marriage counselor, we decided, hoping to find one that specializes in interracial marriage. Our daughter is going to face challenges in the future because of her race, it's sad to say, but unfortunately racism is still alive and we want to know how to protect her and uplift her, so she does not feel ashamed of her heritage. We've made the decision to go no contact with her. I believe she is referring to mother-in-law here, and any people who try to bridge communication between us and her. She will have no contact with my daughter, unless it's years down the road and she shows significant changes in her behavior. My husband will be driving to her house tomorrow to inform her of our decision. I'd consider a paternity test and DNA test, but only if mother-in-law pays. I don't want to entertain this on my own dime. We've also decided to not make any public post regarding this. If people want to believe her story, that is on them, not us. My husband knows our baby is his. The irony is she looks more like him than me, her curls are even from him. I do hope this is my last update. If anything else happens, I might come back. Thank you again to everyone who gave valuable advice. I am sad my daughter won't have a grandmother in the States, but it's more reason for us to plan trips to Puerto Rico. Well, I'm glad that OP and her husband work things out, and are willing to work on their marriage and do the best for them, their relationship, their daughter, and their future children. Even if it's by cutting close people, but toxic, of their lives. And what did you think of this update? Don't forget to leave your comments down below. Oh, and are you enjoying the video so far? If so, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications to know when a new video is out. This really helps the channel, so I appreciate it. Now let's go to the next update. Update 2. Hello everyone, I think I jinxed myself by saying in my first update, I hope this will be my last post, because unfortunately, for a lack of a better term, shit continues to hit the fan. For those of you saying I should be arrested for slapping my mother-in-law, I hate to disappoint, but she is not pressing charges. This is all thanks to my husband who said he'd expose my father-in-law's various affairs. Yes, it turns out that my father-in-law cheated numerous times on my mother-in-law until his death 2 years ago. According to hubby, he was paying for favors even on his deathbed. This is deeply disturbing, because father-in-law and mother-in-law appeared to have a loving marriage. Apparently, that was just for show. I can't even begin to imagine how hubby is feeling. We talked about it and he said it's something he felt deep shame for keeping from me, but also shame because his parents' marriage wasn't at all what they pretended it was. Husband and I are still looking for a couples therapist who specializes in interracial marriage. Husband is also looking for a therapist of his own after the conversation with mother-in-law opened his eyes to a lot of other traumas and issues he feels haven't been properly worked through. I'm so proud of him for taking these steps. Now on to how the conversation on Wednesday went, which is of course why I made this update to continue to vent. As I said in my first update, husband went over to mother-in-law's house to inform her that her behavior is unacceptable, and will be going no contact for the foreseeable future. Mother-in-law didn't take this well. The irony is that she told husband that he couldn't keep her from her only grandchild, funny because she spent the week claiming our daughter wasn't his. She threw some colorful insults at me, claiming he was never like this before he met me and that this was all my idea to hide my apparent affair. In response, husband said if she's so certain that I'm cheating and that our daughter isn't his, she can pay for a paternity test and API to find my affair partner. You know, the one that doesn't exist. Husband says mother-in-law's face turned a comical shade of red and he swears there was steam coming from her ears. This is when mother-in-law said she'd press charges, and husband said he'd just tell everyone about father-in-law's serial cheating. Mother-in-law apparently burst into tears then, got down on her knees, wailing he couldn't leave her. Hubby just pushed her off and left. I had already blocked her number, so she can't contact me, but she blew up husband's phone till he came home and he blocked her. Husband is going to be sending her an email reiterating what he said about no contact, and until she proves she's gotten help, understands she was wrong, and apologizes, she won't be seeing any of us. Both of husband's sisters called us to get the scoop, and agreed to set the record straight with anyone who tries to get a hold of us for mother-in-law, or tries to echo her conspiracy theories. Anyone who wants to back her up can crowdfund for a paternity test and PI. We've spent too long building up our finances to waste them on the ravings of a mad woman. Husband and I did read comments on the posts. I did tell him about it and show him, and we both thank you for the support and helpful comments. Husband has a special message for those doubting me and saying I should get arrested, get effed in cell. I love this man so much, and I'm so lucky to call him my husband and the father of my little girl. We'll be celebrating mother-in-law being out of our lives by taking our daughter out to Texas Roadhouse, eating an ungodly amount of rolls, and seeing Despicable Me 4. Wishing everyone love and thank you again for all the support. Edit, I forgot to add this too, but she also threatened grandparents' rights on the grounds that I endangered my daughter by taking the medication I use for my autoimmune disease during pregnancy. We doubt she'll actually go forward with that, but we will consult a lawyer regardless. It sounds like you and your husband have been through an incredibly challenging and emotional time. It's great to hear that you're both taking steps to address the situation with professional help, and that you have a support system in place. Thank you. I feel equally blessed that his two sisters support our decision to go no contact and won't be trying to defend or speak on mother-in-law's behalf. Look up emotional incest. Mother-in-law needs therapy to stop trying to make your husband take the place of her husband. Start that food binder. She may call CPS and tons of other problems. Make sure she isn't on any pickup list for your child. Most states, grandparent rights go nowhere when both parents are married. Cameras and document. Thank you for saying the pickup list for daycare. Even though she's never picked her up before, I'm realizing that's a scenario and will be letting her daycare know. I'm sorry that father-in-law cheated on mother-in-law, but that doesn't excuse her behavior. I do believe OP and her husband are doing the right thing, in terms of going no contact with MIL, but OP should be prepared for any interference from her husband family, even if they now say they are on her side. Talk to a lawyer, OP, and good luck. And what did you think of all this? Did you like OP's choices? Do you think she and her husband made the right decisions? Don't forget to leave your comments down below. And that's it for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, go watch the video that is appearing on the screen right now or click on one of our playlists that are in the description to watch more videos. Until next time.